Hello there and welcome back to another video, and today is actually going to be the last city update of 2023. Of course we are not finishing it this year. There's still quite a bit to go. You can see just behind me over one of my shoulders we've recently done a little festive scene which is taking up 2 towers, which hopefully by next year will be completed. We'll have the Minecraft display to work on, but shouldn't be too distracted. Today, we are finishing the 3rd tower. The first tower we had was a Lego themed tower, which technically we've still got an interior to complete. We've got the Lego Museum, so if you've got any ideas of any sort of bricks, any themes you want included in the Lego Museum for my Lego City, do let me know down in the comments, and I'll be sure to include as many of your comments as I can. So if you've got a fun idea, do let me know. The 2nd tower was an animal themed tower. We had the sea life on the bottom, some awesome techniques going into the sea life, and honestly it's probably one of my favourite modular builds so far. We then had the giant fish tank above it. I've never seen a giant fish tank in anyone's city, and to have a whole floor of a tower be just a fish tank, it was a fun idea, and I do really like it enough to keep it until next year. Right on the top of that, it was a shorter tower, so we didn't cover up the lo-fi house. We had a rooftop farm, an awesome greenhouse, a chicken pen where they run somewhat free as they can, a farmer on there, and even added a Christmas tree, which is most likely looking like a permanent feature. Of course, not the Christmas tree, but having some sort of tree on the rooftop. Now, the 3rd tower was, in fact, the first tower we ever worked on. The Friends/sitcom tower. At the bottom we had the Central Perk, and then we had the lads flat above that, Joey and Chandler's, and then we had Monica and Rachel's flat above that. So I was going to originally work on putting Ross's flat above it. I thought it wasn't really as iconic enough as the other 2 flats, so instead went early on with theme of Big Bang Theory, which was another show I always loved to watch and occasionally still catch the odd episode. So that is what we're building today, the Big Bang Theory flat. In fact, I already have it built for this video, and you can see I've actually got it displayed on top of the Friends flat, Monica and Rachel's flat, so you can see just how big it is. And I've actually kept this shape because of the shape of the Big Bang Theory flat. It's so useful, and I don't get to build the bedrooms, and like the other flats had to somewhat switch up the build and what I included. I was very selective with what I included, just so I made use of the space, didn't make it too cramped, and it looks just like the Big Bang Theory flat. Enough for you to point out which sitcom this is from, but obviously isn't an exact match. And there's some really cool features on it, some really cool techniques that I've applied to make it look as like the flat as I can, and honestly, I think this will look amazing in the Lego City. So without further ado, let's go to the desk and take a look. Now, we will once again, right at the end of the video, be taking a look at this actually in the Lego City. But first off, I'd just like to show it with the Friends flat attached on the bottom, because you can see with the Friends flat, we alternated between the 1x4 bricks. This was built solely with the Lego Ideas Friends set, and you can see some of the minifigures on the couch watching the footy game, and there is actually meant to be a cat here, which I have sort of taken to put elsewhere in the village, though I might actually end up putting it back with a working door to the balcony, and even this side they've got a front door. Now, I didn't include no front doors, no doors of any kind in the Big Bang flat, as you don't really see them from certain angles, and there is a doorway that I've sort of removed because I just wanted to make the most use of the set. But before we look inside, as I said, the brickwork, the 1x4s here, I've alternated between being right at the end here and then being 1 block away. And what this means is when you actually look at the brick pattern, every other brick is sort of paired up with the one below it, which doesn't look too great for brickwork. It does look a bit odd that each other row of bricks are matching and they line up. Again, from a Lego point of view, I've made the bricks sort of replicate the brick pattern they are portraying, but that does offset them. They are meant to be more in line with the other bricks. Now, where the window's involved and this odd length wall is also involved, I don't really have much choice. There isn't a 3 long brick that would match up with the rest of them, which honestly would be nice. And though I could have all the odd bricks on the end here, it just sort of looks odd. You can see even on here, this is a mechanism, which is why this is like it is, but it just doesn't look great. And to have that on two walls, I'd rather have that in as few places as I can. And once again, you've got it on this side, but we'll get onto this wall in a minute. But the main thing that I've done to, I guess, sort of combat it is, as you can see, use the 1x5s that I picked up on the pad wall, as well as all of these brick pieces. The new pad boxes have done really well, and in fact you can fit like over 800 masonry bricks in one of these pad boxes, so you're getting nearly £100 worth of profile bricks for just £15. Really good deal. Check out my video if you want to know how to stack your pad boxes, and I'm definitely going to be visiting a few times in the new year, so subscribe, stay tuned, and I just can't wait to go back to the Lego store. But what this does by putting a plate in between every row of bricks is not only stacks up to the 8 bricks tall, because 3 bricks and 3 plates is half of the height of each of these bricks, and well, I guess the blocks themselves rather than the individual bricks. But what I've done here is the plate is holding all these bricks together, so these are a mixture of 2 1x4s and a 1x4 and 2 1x2s, just to make sure they're sturdy enough and don't fall through. Because if I just stack these bricks up on each other and kept the pattern going, you'd be able to push sort of halfway through and just knock all the bricks into the build. It wouldn't be very secure, but by adding these plates in the middle, the whole wall does sort of hold its own, as well as the tiles on the top which connect it to the white wall, and this other wall on the inside which reinforces this side. So this can hold a lot of weight, it's very strong, and just means that when I am transporting this around, I don't have to be too careful, because you could probably drop it from a few centimeters or barge into it or knock it by any means and it will still hold its own. So I have used that technique as much as I can, especially on the back where we in fact have some white brick. Now, you understand a bit more why we have white brick on the back compared to the front, but first let's take off this friends flat and give us a bit more room to talk about the display. Now, you can see it does look quite simplistic. In fact, I've still got a few of the odd studs from the friends flat, but it does look quite simplistic compared to some of the others, and that is purely just because of the legality of the build. These 2 walls here are above a balcony, so you wouldn't really be allowed to have a window overlooking that balcony, at least not here in the UK. And this wall's going to be up against another flat sometime next year, so really the only wall I could add windows to was this wall. So this here had to be the kitchen from early on. I had to put the cooker the other side of this window as you see it in the show, and also they have another window in that far corner, so on this white wall you can see a nice big window here, and they do actually have white interior walls in the Big Bang Theory flat, so that is why you can see the white brick on this wall. Again, the same technique of making sure the bricks line up and putting plates to divide them. A few snot bricks here, again studs not on top, which allows me to angle a few bricks on the inside, but this wall here is just pure masonry brick, and you can see it's just shining on the camera. This is a heavenly wall for any Lego mock builder, and does look really cool. I like the technique of the plates. It separates the bricks and stops it looking like I've just whacked a load of bricks there, but still looks really cool, really sleek. And I could definitely, if this was going to be facing out, add some sort of window in the middle, maybe even 2 windows, or even add some sort of billboard to advertise another shop that is seated around the Lego City. Even Central Perk could have an advertisement on this flat, but that is going to be flat against the back of the unit. This is going to be on the wall, and again, this is going to be on another building. So this is really the only angle you will see, and honestly, it still looks pretty cool, but it will look even cooler when I reveal to you that this wall pops straight up. In fact, there is one plate attached here, and I'll try not to pull apart the wall. Perhaps removing the roof will be easier for this. So the roof comes off, and as you can see, there is still a part of the wall that is connected to the build. So if I grab that and lift it, you can see the interior of the Big Bang Theory flat. Now with the Friends flats, how you could see the interior was just looking from above, which weren't too much of a problem, as I sort of did decorate it 360 degrees. But for the Big Bang Theory flat, you're always looking from this same angle, even when they're in the kitchen. And as I said, I did remove the hallway that is just in the middle there, just because of space constrictions, and wanted to include as much as the other bits as I can. But you've got the bookcase, you've got the couch, and Sheldon Spot with his cushion, and even included the dark red cushion for the white tub chair. And everything down to the lamp. You've got the Green Lantern money bank, which I had to include there. You've even got a few similar colours to the things that are displayed on the shelves. The giant dark blue curtains that match the rug. Didn't have space for the dark red and tan little mat to go on there, nor the coffee table, but you can use your imagination for that. Also got the fridge with a refrigerator on top, few cupboards, and a yellow mug, a plate, a bread bin, and some sort of knife block, which you could see in the scene that I took the kitchen from. There's also a frying pan on the oven, which does have the 2 glass doors. Another cupboard with a microwave and probably a cutlery stand or something there. A nice white box on top of the drawer unit, and just added as much detail as I can in such a small space. Again, you've got the giant window at the back, and there is actually a drawer unit with one of the drawers slightly out, and whatever sort of mini drawer unit was next to it. I don't really know what it was, but there were a lot of tan drawers in it, so I included a tan stud to represent that on the raised dark brown floor. Now, again, I don't have any of the minifigures, and I'm not sure if I'll purchase any of the minifigures or add some just classic Lego City minifigures to this at some point, but I might try and replicate the Big Bang cast using any minifigure pieces I have, and that might be included in a future City update. I just have no intention of including them just yet, so stick around for that. Do drop a like if you enjoy what this flat looks like, and now I guess it's time to add it to the Lego City. And so we're back to our Lego City for one final time this year, and just before we take a look at the Big Bang flat in its, I guess, glory to some extent, we'll have one quick last look at the Christmas tree with all the carolers. Hopefully I can do a bit better next year, and this little Christmas scene down here, which I think honestly is actually pretty nice. And of course we've got Santa Claus still delivering the presents. It won't be very long at all now, only a couple of days away. So here we have the Big Bang flat. Now, I have added an extra few bricks to the roof just to show it does continue up into the units. In fact, the highest I can build it, as there's just less than a plate's height above it on the unit, and I didn't want to squeeze anything in there, no half plates or nothing, or even studs on top, because if the unit does bow at any point, I want to be able to still have the space so that I don't hurt the Lego below it. I think the flat does look really cool. It does stand out a little bit with that tan level in the middle rather than the bricks below and the bricks above, but I don't know, maybe at some point I will change it. I'm really loving the balcony out here, and though it does affect the height above it, and I could have probably expanded on the floor above it, I think it does look really nice. It adds a bit of detail, especially if I have 2 towers towering up on the left hand side. And of course we've got the Lego Museum, which I might have to increase the height of one of the floors, add something in the middle just to get it to stand up as much as I'd like. But I think it's quite nice next to the rooftop farm. They're quite reasonably sized builds, and just add a little bit of gap up the top. Perhaps I can add a little weather backdrop or something at some point. I did say about including a brick built background at some point, which would be really nice to include, and especially with the towers that side would mean I'd only need to include a little bit up here and most of it over there past the road. But this is the last time you'll probably see the Christmas decor around the city without it being pulled apart. I hope to have an update early January of just taking this down, bricking them all apart and returning them to storage. But you can see Homer is one of the carolers there, a few other Christmassy ones, and an alien I hope to see more of next year. There's a lot of space hits coming out. I wouldn't mind a space CMF because we'd get a load of cool space figures and hopefully a few classic ones. But you can see we do have a waterfall. If you missed the last update, you wouldn't have noticed that. Next to Lo-Fi's apartment, we've then got the rooftop flat. We then have the giant fish tank, which is a floor in itself, 16 by 16 modular. We then have the sea life, and actually I do need to increase the Lego floors by 1. Perhaps I'll include that in the January set, as the museum is meant to be the same height as the rooftop farm, so that will definitely push this build towards the top. And if you didn't see the update of this build, they are chairs that you're looking at. You're not going crazy. They are chairs put at an angle upside down to create that awesome looking roof effect. And That in fact is also a skinnier build, so that pushes the tower back a little bit, which just makes it seem more open in front, where you have the queue for the Lego store. We'll take a look at round the back. Again, the Christmas tree, all the lampposts and snowmen dotted around. You can see the classic space one behind the cyclist there. And you've even got the Nutcracker's garden, the sea life enclosure. So you've got the rest of the Lego queue just down the side there with the cool official Lego printed stickers, a garbage truck in the road with a few other miscellaneous vehicles, and a bunch of people walking the street, including Joey and Chandler sat outside the Central Perk Cafe. So you've then got Sitcom Tower, the third tower to be completed, and definitely not the last, as 2024 will have us start work on here, where I think the ground floor of this corner build will be the next one to be built, which is some sort of sandwich bar, cafe, diner. I'm not quite sure yet. We have a coffee shop over there, so it might end up being some fast food takeaway place. But stay tuned for next year to find out what the next tower is, as a food tower actually wouldn't be half bad. But that is all from the Lego City 2023. I hope you enjoyed this series, as I had so much fun making it, and do be sure to drop a like if you enjoy this style of video, and subscribe so you don't miss out on all the awesome mocks coming next year. May the bricks be with you always.